Hello friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works workshop. Got a Flatiron mandolin here. This one, if I can read it here, I'll just tell you right up front. It's called F Festival and has a long serial number, which I'm not going to bother to read. Don't see any other information in it other than that. It just says the Flatiron F Festival. It's a real nice mandolin. I like it real well, and it's repeat business from Colorado. The customer had sent me another mandolin that I set up, and I believe I set it up on video. I think it was the Eastman mandolin from Colorado. And first impressions are, I like this mandolin. I like this one, I think, better than the Eastman. I don't know if that's good or bad from the customer's perspective, but I like it better. Several things I like about it. The tone of it's more even across. The other one I believe had a lot of highs, and when I put the deer antler saddle on it, it didn't help it any, because those highs, you know, when you got highs, that deer antler saddle just emphasizes those. It really doesn't help you. This one's got a better tone. I think the deer antler saddle on this one would actually probably help it. It'll make it louder anyway. Just a quick overview is I feel sharp edges on the corners of the saddle, very sharp, and I don't like that. I like to have that rounded off, so if your hand rubs against it, you don't feel it. It's also very sharp here on the nut. Your fingers just get literally stabbed on there when you slide your fingers up there, and I like for that to be able to just pass by it, because your hand will slide past that on occasions, and you can really feel it on this one. So those are the two things I don't like about the setup the way it is. The rest of the setup is really not that bad. I haven't checked intonation or anything. That's really, you know, that'll come in the overall setup. But the other thing that I'm sure we could do a little bit better is to scallop this a little bit more. Although I may have to back off on that. I'll have to see how the pickguard's attached. If the pickguard comes through here, then I may not be able to scallop it much more than it is. Maybe just a little bit. Because otherwise we'll take that pin and you know, scallop that down into that pin, and we wouldn't want to do that. So we'll do what we can with it to improve it. But I do like this mandolin. I think it's got a good sound. Here's kind of what it sounds like. It's got a little bit of highs. I noticed the A string is kind of tinny, but the E string has got a little more punch to it. The A is the weak sounding string, in my opinion, on this mandolin. So that you can hear the A there, it's kind of weak. See, the E seems like it has a little more bite to me. So anyway, we'll work on that, see if we can't even that tone out a little bit, see what we can do about that E, the A. I suspect that this might be a set of strings where the A is a little on the light side. I haven't checked that yet, but that's my suspicion. It needs a little stronger A string in order to bring that A out a little bit more. So I'm not going to film all this one because I filmed the other one, the Eastman. I'll just show you a before and after. So there's the before, and we'll come back with an after. Just a little bit of an update as I start disassembling the mandolin. The pins are not a problem on this mandolin because they go in underneath here. They don't go into the side of the fretboard like the Gibsons. So anyway, we can scallop this down wherever we need to. Okay, all I've done at this point is taken the strings off of it. Haven't done anything else. Nope, haven't pulled out any frets, but I just wanted to point out that the binding is actually loose right in here, and you can probably see it flexing as I do that. Now, when I take these frets out and scallop this down, that binding might come loose even more. We should be able to glue it back. It shouldn't be a big deal. I've taken the tip of the X-Acto blade and I've cleaned out this crack really good. It appears to me that it had been glued or re-glued at least one other time. This can be a really messy operation. You can get glue everywhere, and this kind of glue will eat up your finish. So I put 2 layers of paper towel here. I just folded the paper towel over, and I have made myself a little block of wood that is contoured, if it'll focus. It's contoured to fit right up in here, and then I have a popsicle stick on the other side, and I can just literally put a small C-clamp on this and just clamp it down tight. You can see my setup there that I have for gluing that up. I put a long popsicle stick on this side, and that keeps me from damaging the binding on that side. And then I have a little tiny block of wood on this side that's shaped to fit that curve, and we squeeze it tight. And that will, with this kind of glue that we're using, this Beacon 527 that I get from Walmart, that will melt the plastic and also help that plastic stretch. So it's under a lot of stress there, and that's why it came apart. So my thought is, if I let that set for several hours, it'll melt that plastic right back to that wood, and we shouldn't have any further problem. Here's the after. We'll take a close look at what we've done. You can see the scalloping there. We've scalloped it out quite a bit further, so it gives you a lot of pick clearance. And we fixed that binding, so the binding looks perfect now. And the reason I fixed it before is that once it gets that narrow, it's really hard to, control it. So it was easier to fix it while it was still wide, and so we fixed that. We leveled all the frets, we recrowned all the frets. And by the way, when I scalloped the fretboard out, it changed color. The end of the fretboard then was not the same color as the up here. I think it is ebony or some other exotic that resembles ebony, and it could even be a dark rosewood. But anyway, it was dyed black, so I re-dyed the whole fretboard black. Now when you do that, that dye goes everywhere. It gets all over the plastic and everything else, no matter how careful you are. So then I had to re-scrape all the plastic off. I leveled between the frets, dyed the whole thing black again. I cut the nut up here, got all the sharp corners that I had mentioned early in the video. I got all the sharp corners off, recut this nut up here so it's really good action. The nut was actually fairly high. I didn't realize that at the beginning. Another thing that I noticed, and I see this a lot, and I'll just point it out here. I'm not trying to embarrass the customer or anything, but this saddle was turned around backwards, the saddle. On these compensated saddles, now not all of them are made this way, but most of them are, or a great number of them are. And if you'll look close, let me just tell you how you can tell if your saddle's backwards. The E-string cut here should be out in front. And if you'll notice at the very beginning of the video, if you'll notice how it was on the mandolin as it came to me, this side was over here. So it was turned around wrong. Another thing that I noticed after I turned it around correctly, then these 2 strings were way farther apart than the rest of them. So I narrowed them down and put them back closer together so that the gap between all the strings is about the same. So we did a lot of work to this thing that you just don't think of or see off camera. I also did my little trick with the felt. Put felt in here so that the strings are trapped between felt now. There was already felt on the bottom side, so that's a good thing. I think it's got a better sound, a little bit improved sound. What I did for the A string was I just went ahead and put heavy strings on this all the way across. When I say heavy, they're not heavy. They're just a step up. I put the J75s on this. I think the customer probably I think in their note or something, had some kind of concern about the weight of the strings on this mandolin, but I am positive this mandolin can handle that no trouble at all. So it does help it some. In my opinion, though, the A string still does show to be the weaker string on the mandolin. It's noticeable to me. It doesn't seem to come across on the video quite as bad, but it is a little noticeable on the video too. But anyway, that is my only weakness on the mandolin, is that the A string just seems to have a weaker sound than the rest of the strings. And the only thing I can write that off to would be just the way it was carved. You know, so there's something about the carving where it creates a sympathetic issue on that A, where that A is just not ringing correctly, or vice versa. It's ringing too much or something. It's just not working right. Got a pretty decent punch. The action is crazy good. Just feels like a much better mandolin than when it got here. I'm pretty sure the customer will be real happy. Let's see if I can play a little bit on that A string again to see if you can tell a difference. It's early in the morning, my fingers aren't working. This old arthritis creates all kinds of issues. I like to use that little tune there because it goes across all 4 strings, and I can hear the evenness of the mandolin. I do think it's improved on the tone just because of the heavier strings, but it's still just a bit off on that A. Otherwise, this is a really nice mandolin. It plays really good. You couldn't hardly find one to play much better. I have a feeling he's going to be playing this one a lot when he gets it back versus his Eastman that he has. That's my opinion, but then again, everybody likes something different, you know. That's what makes the world go around. So thank you for watching. Tell your friends about the channel. And if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, do it now. Thank you very much.